So BigQuery is in fact a competitor to the to AWS Redshift, and really there's some pros and cons of both. One of the things that I really like about BigQuery here is that it will actually allow you to do machine learning inside of their system. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up my GCP account here and go to a console, and I'm going to just walk through this demo. So in this particular demo, what we're going to do is we're going to apply k-means clustering in SQL, and then we'll grab it and put it into their BI tool, which is called Data Studio. So this data set is already hosted inside of the Google BigQuery system, which is also a huge advantage, is that they have tons of public data sets in here. So what I'm going to do first here is I'm going to go ahead and create a project. So I'll kind of make this a little bit bigger, and then I will say new project, and we'll just call this BigQuery demo, and I'll put March 7th, so I know I can delete it later. Okay, this will take just a second. And then the first thing that we'll need to do once this thing's created is enable. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Select this this project. There we go. And then I'm also going to need to enable the BigQuery API. Okay, so this will be BigQuery demo. Go ahead and do that. And then this, we don't need the credentials. This would only be if you were going to use your Cloud Shell account and query it. But I'm going to go again back here, and I can get started. So first up, what I'll do is I'm going to create the data set. So I'm going to go to this BigQuery UI here, and I will go to the resources section. So let's see here. It's going to be under resources. You see this? So just as a FYI with BigQuery, one of the things that's really cool about it is that they have this thing called public data. And if you scroll through here, there's a ton of projects that are really cool projects, like, baseball data, crime data, census data, all kinds of stuff. And this is really a problem people always are looking for, is how do I analyze big data for real? Well, this is one way you could do that, because you don't have to handle importing this data. It's already there for you. So for example, like if we looked at GitHub or something like that, I could go through here and look at the commits or something, and click on query the table, and then I could say select star from this data, and then run a SQL query and just start getting access to it. And then additionally to that, one of the things that you can do is you also can click this button and pump it into their BI tool immediately as well. So again, many students are looking for data sets. This is a great way to do it, right? And you can start visualizing the data and share, and you can share it with other people as well. So if you save this thing, and if I wanted to share it with you, I could just click on share, and then essentially say, anyone with a link to this, you can use this report. So the workflow is really smooth to share stuff. You also can download it too. So if I say click, I can actually put it in Google Drive or local, and you can see here I could just say, I want to look at that data later, and move it up. So that's just kind of like a side note about why BigQuery is so big. So the next thing I'm going to do is now I'm going to run through this project here. So what I will do is I will say create data set. We'll go to resources, click create data set. So I think it would be under, let's see here, in resources, click your project name. And let's see, let's find our project name. Where is our project name here? BigQuery, yeah, here we go. And then what we want to do is say create dataset. And for the dataset ID, we'll put in BigQuery ML tutorial. There we go. Here we go. And then I'll say create dataset. And then for the location, this is a big one, is because their data is in European Union, I need to make sure that I set that to Europe. And actually, I screwed that up, so I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to redo it again because this could cause problems. Because I'm going to copy the data from the publicly available data into my data set. So we'll go ahead and say delete. Okay, so I'm going to go back here again, say create data set. I'm going to change this to European Union, and then I'm going to paste in BigQuery ML, and then I'm going to do it again. Okay, so now that that's good, I'm going to examine the data. So we're just going to do some descriptive statistics, right? So remember, the data science workflow is ingestion is phase 1, exploratory data analysis, that's phase 2, modeling, phase 3, and then conclusion. So we've already ingested the data. So now we need to examine the data. So do some exploratory data analysis. So I'm gonna copy through this query data. I'm just gonna put copy, and you can see it's a big SQL statement that does a bunch of stuff. So I'm gonna go through here, and I'm going to paste this query in. And I can also, if I want to, I think I can just say format it, and it'll like kind of clean it up as well and make my SQL a little bit fancier. So let's go ahead and run this, and you can see like how much data it's. So I'm having some problem. I guess I've exceeded my quota here. So what I could do is I think I can click on upgrade. Let's see, and I can go to, I have an account that's got a ton of credits, and then the enable billing. So if you need to enable billing on additional projects, let's see if I can put it on here. There we go. Nope. So we have a little bit of a UI issue with Google, which I have an easy workaround. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of this project, and I'm going to go to a project that does have billing capabilities. And so what I will do is I will go through here, and you can see this is a previous BigQuery ML. I'm just going to use this one because it was working previously. So because I have so many accounts, it just had a little bit of an issue. So we'll just kind of like a cooking show, bring out the next phase of the cooking show. So next up, what I'm going to do is we'll just run that same query again. So I will go through here and copy this, and paste it. And so the big takeaway here is that it shows you how much data that you're actually processing, and it will show you the results. And we can see here that the data is pretty cool. We have, station name, duration, number of trips, distance from the city cluster, right? And so again, I could actually take this data if I wanted to, and I could also start playing around with it in big data, in Data Studio, which is an interesting, idea. And I believe there's an auto charting. There's a bunch of different auto charts here and you can add different things and add more data, like, show this in there. Here we go. Show. Anyway, you can play around. You can play around with these station name, add more dimensions to your data, and then add different kinds of charts and visualizations and play around with it. So next up here, let's go to doing the k-means clustering. So if we scroll down here, the big thing that to be aware of is that you can do machine learning directly inside of BigQuery. So if I just copy this, I can do another SQL query. So I'm going to make this thing a little bit smaller. Let's see. Hide, maybe go full screen. There we go. Exit full screen. I had to kind of mess things up a little bit here. So I'm going to paste this in. And what this is going to do is it says, create a k-means clustering model with 4 clusters, and you can see the data. There's some things that where I subset the data and I look for specific, weekend data and timestamps and everything, and then I select the average duration and the count and the maximum distance. So once I run this thing, what it will do is in SQL it'll train a k-means clustering model for me. And in fact, the next step up here is when it's done is I should be able to click on the evaluations tab, and it will show me the data of basically the metrics around the k-means clustering project. So I don't think this will take too long. But while this is running, what's powerful about this is that in one shot you can dump your data into this data warehouse, query it, and also train your machine learning model on it without having to bring it back into scikit-learn or TensorFlow or some other system. You can just immediately start getting results. So from a speed and productivity standpoint, there's a lot to like about the Google BigQuery system. So you can see here it's training. So it's training our k-means clustering model. And also the cool thing about this is that k-means clustering is a very expensive algorithm, and in our case here, we were able to get basically run it at scale. So here's the execution details. You can see that the pre-processing time took 12 seconds. It took 50 seconds to train, and then 4.3 seconds to evaluate. Here's our training loss. You can see how it went through here. There's a whole diagram. Here's the duration. And I believe as well that there is some more metrics here. Let's see here. You go to get to the metrics around, let's see here. So, and click on the training tab. So where is that training tab here? Go to model. So if we click on go to model, then you can click on training, and it has all this information about it. Evaluation, it shows us metrics like mean squared error distance. It even shows us the features of each of the clusters. So we can see that cluster 1, there's 247 of them. Cluster 2, there's 643. And basically from here, that's essentially things are k-means clustering in a nutshell. And so then one of the things we could do is we can now use it to do a prediction. So why don't we identify every cluster that has the word Kennington in it and identify where that cluster lives. So let's go ahead and copy this. We'll go to the next one here, and we'll compose a new query, and we'll paste this in. And what this will do is, now that we've trained the model, we can actually say, hey, where of the clusters that are available, of the stations that match the word Kennington, why don't we find out which clusters they're in, right? And you can see here's the results. And now I can also save this or export this result here to Data Studio, and then we could create some kind of fancy data visualization. So how would you do that? We could add some more dimensions here. So let's add the cluster, right? And then maybe add the distance from the city center, and maybe like the duration here, right? And then I could change the visualization to be like a heat map or something like that, or some other kind of visualization. I don't know which one in particular, maybe. But anyway, you could start, and maybe under metric, instead of the record count, I could add the centroid maybe. There we go. So now we can see that you've got a kind of the counts of or the you can play around with it basically and create a cool visualization. I don't know if that's exactly the metric we want, but from here. Actually, instead of the centroid ID, probably what we would do is say the distance. There we go. So we could see that, cluster, cluster 3 has like maybe really long trips or something like that. And anyway, you could play around for days on that. So we can save this, and then if I want to share this this report with somebody, maybe this is my management team, really quickly I can go here, and then share that, add to the report, and share my data to a report. Great. Look, it took me only 30 minutes and I was able to do k-means clustering, figure out which clusters these things were assigned to, and then create a report. So that's really in a nutshell the power of something like BigQuery, is that the speed that you can actually do real world machine learning and then turn it into a BI tool.